So I'm going to take some time to show you how to do a poultice, but I'm going to especially focus on Comfrey, because that's the type of poultice I probably make the most of. There's other poultices that I do make, but this is the one that I like to keep on hand. You can make a poultice out of any size muslin bag. This is the one I use the most because it typically covers just a small area, just uses about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of herb. And if you have a larger space, you can do this, you can do that for maybe your back, maybe your shoulder, maybe something you want to fold over with herb all the way around it. This would be a nice thing to use. You can also use cheesecloth and just lay it down and wrap it around. Comfrey is somewhat messy, so it is one of those things where the bigger the holes, you're gonna have more of the herb coming through. You're gonna have more of its compounds coming through, but it's going to be a lot messier as well. And you'll see that as we go through. And you can also use this flower cloth. It's just a cotton cloth. You could use a wool cloth if you wanted to. If you have a larger area, if you want to do a number of them, or if you don't want to buy a muslin bag, you can use any kind of cotton cloth. I will oftentimes use these old cloths and I'll cut them up into smaller pieces and wrap it around the herb and use it accordingly. Today I'm going to use this as my towel. I'm going to make a poultice out of this. I've already made one here, and you'll see I've gone ahead and put it into water so that it could get completely full of water, and you'll see it makes a little messy here. But what I'll do is use the loose herb. You can use comfrey root as well as comfrey leaf, but I do like the leaf. I think it does a really good job of bringing comfort and healing to any kind of damage, but the root's fine to use as well. So I will go ahead and lay this into a glass bowl, and I'm going to take boiling hot water and pour it in, and then I want to saturate the comfrey and let it soak in all of the water. You'll see I leave this part open simply because I want it to lay flat. You could snug it tight, but there's not really a reason to. Once this herb gets wet, you can even hold it down so it doesn't sneak out. It's not going to be an issue. You'll note that it's starting to get brown. That's how you know that the herb is starting to get more saturated and it's starting to release some of its compounds. You'll also know that it's getting ready because it starts to get slimy. It's a demulcent, and that demulcent is what coats the skin. When people would use it internally, that would be what would soothe and calm the intestines. It would be very calming on the lungs. And so that same constituent is what's soothing on the skin as well. So you see it's very brown and it's leaking. Now you could, if you had, say, a damage on something, that bruising, or you smacked it on your hand on something, or you had a part of the body that you hit, that you could just lay it flat. You could leave it this drippy and just set it on. That's nice and warm, and just sit with your hand or the damaged part of your body just sitting like this, and it would work really well. The idea is the longer that you use this on the injured area, the better it's going to be. If you were wanting to put it on, say you hit a shin bone, any kind of damage that would cause bruising, cause swelling, you had sore joints, and you want to be able to actually move and do things, what you would want to do is go ahead and drain some of that liquid out, because as you can see, that brown, that will stain. And then from there, we'll pretend my hand is what was damaged. I would first put this over top of it and make sure that it's all fit nice and neatly. And then, in an effort to keep it from getting on anything else, I would take a piece of plastic. Now this is just a store bag that I folded down. You could use any kind of plastic that you have, anything that's going to protect. You can even use another piece of cloth if you wanted to. Just realize that that's going to saturate through. So oftentimes I will take a piece of plastic. I folded this down, but you could just cut it down if you wanted to. And I will put this around, and that will keep it protected. From there, you can use an ace bandage, wrap it, and then you're able to work with this on your hand or on whatever area is damaged. If you wanted to make sure, maybe you had a larger piece and you wanted to put it on your back and you wanted to make sure that it was extra protected, oftentimes I'll put this on. I'll put another piece of cloth kind of around it so that it captures the wet, and then I'll wrap it with an ace bandage. The longer you have this on, the better. I typically will have people put it on if I have any of my people, if they've done damage to something and I want to see it get better quickly, I will have them wrap it and they will keep it on for at least 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. Sometimes I'll even have them sleep in it. I've had one client who dislocated their shoulder. They would put poultices on their shoulder and wrap it and sleep in it as much as they can. Obviously, you need help from somebody else to be able to do that wrapping, but I've also had another client who has a damaged vertebrae, and they were able to use just these small little packs on the vertebrae, and they've been able to see quite a bit of relief and comfort from using that, to the point now I'm making the larger poultices so that not only does it hit on where the vertebrae is, but it also covers some of the muscle that's irritated and inflamed. If you're able to just sit and rest where you have your Comfrey on, putting your plastic over top and wrapping it, or putting a piece of towel over top, I will oftentimes get a rice pack, heat it up, and put the rice pack over top of it as well. Typically they say when you've done some kind of damage, whether you've sprained something, strained something, they'll tell you not to put heat on it because it just causes it to become more inflamed. But what I have found is putting the heat on with the Comfrey just pushes the Comfrey deeper. So don't be hesitant to use heat with your Comfrey. I find it to be very, very helpful in the healing process. From there, I hope that you find this helpful and you are able to incorporate Comfrey into your life.